Well, hello there. Hey, it's Thursday, April 2nd, 2015, and I'm Bobby. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the Post as we continue on our journey during this Holy Week, getting to and discovering a little more about Easter, resurrection, and the underlying message and what we're kind of building on this week is that because of Easter, we have hope. Because of the resurrection, the death, the burial of Jesus Christ, we have hope. And just to mention about yesterday's post, I hope that you'll recognize if you were able to watch it. If you haven't, hey, tune in and check that out. It's greatness. But it was simply just an opportunity because of April Fools to take an opportunity to put a little humor into it, to just do something a little different. You know, maybe you're expecting to actually talk about what O represents. And there's that flash, that news brief, that exclusive live exciting interview, audition that went on to replace Zayn in One Direction. And it's catastrophic, I know, but hey, there's a chance Rob Van Winkle might fit in there. But don't worry, I'm not quitting my day job. Those of you who are wondering, although it's very tempting, because obviously if you looked at the post, there's quite a bit of talent there. Mainly for my daughter, not for me. But anyway, so that's just a little something we did yesterday, and I was glad that she helped me out. And maybe you might be seeing her a little bit later on. We'll see. But thanks for entertaining that, those of you who did watch it. But today we are going to continue, and we're going to do O. O for hope. Remember, H is his story through history, and the evidence that Jesus was a historical figure, and he really existed. And then now we're doing hope. And the O, which stands for omnipotent, which is just a 25-cent letter word for all-powerful. God is all-powerful. And we can see it throughout Scripture from the very beginning in Genesis when he spoke creation into existence. He spoke the stars, the sun, the moon, plants, birds, animals, vegetation. He spoke all of that in us into existence. He breathed into us. And he has all power and to have a relationship with us, even so much so that when man blew it in the garden, that he made a way for us through Jesus and what we're going to celebrate here this weekend. I just wanted to target that for today and just focus in a little bit on God's omnipotence, him being all-powerful. Because if he wasn't all-powerful, check this out, if he wasn't all-powerful, then that means that there are things that would be able to overcome him. There will be things that would be able to have more power than he does. But there's nothing that has more power than he does. If you're familiar with Scripture or not at all, here's some references to get kind of refer to check out. In Job, in the beginning of Job, which is a book in the Old Testament, the oldest book in Scripture, here's what goes on is God and Satan are having a conversation. And first of all, he's Satan because God was able to kick him out because Lucifer wanted to be like God, but no one can ever be like God. So he was banished out of heaven because he wanted to be like God, and he never to return. And so God is all powerful over Satan, over Lucifer. And then we're having a discussion one day over Job, and Lucifer was kind of mentioning to God that he only praises you, God, because of you blessing him and you protecting him. And let me have a shot at him, and I promise you that he won't do that. He won't be blessing you. And God said, okay. It's not as if God gave in to temptation, but he believed in Job. And he allowed Satan to do all those temptings and the tests and the trials. And if you know anything about Job, he had his family outside of his wife taken from him, his livestock, his livelihood, a lot of things going on in his body, physically, just tormenting. Friends turned on him. And he didn't have anything, but he did keep in his relationship with the Lord, and God blessed him because of that. So that's one instance in there, that in that story with Job, Satan could not touch Job until he asked for permission first from God. So Satan is under the authority of God. Also in the New Testament, when we're talking about Jesus, and there was a demon-possessed man, and he had, Jesus asked him, "Who are you?" And he said, "We are many, we are legion." So he had, almost 1,000 demons just in this one guy, just wreaking havoc and tormenting this poor guy. And they knew who Jesus was. And they were scared of him because they knew who he was. Creator, God, God in the flesh. They knew that. And so they asked for permission, to go into someplace else. Go to this, into these pigs that were nearby. And Jesus allowed that because at first they thought that he was there to condemn them already to hell. And that was not the time yet to do that. So even they are under his control, his authority, And so those are just things right there. But also with Lazarus. The story of Lazarus, how he was dear to Jesus, one of his best friends, his closest friends. And when Jesus caught word that he died, he waited 4 days to go speak to him, to go visit Mary and Martha, and go visit Lazarus. They say after 3 days that that's it, you're dead, and he waited till 4 days. Why? Because he wanted God to get the glory. He wanted his Father to get the glory for what he was going to do. He was going to bring him up, and he was going to have victory over death through Lazarus, and Lazarus came forth. And then the ultimate victory is what he did on the cross, by shedding blood, by dying, by being that sacrifice for us. And he was buried in a tomb for 3 days. And on the third day, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. And he rose from the grave, proving his authority and power over death, over the grave, and over sin. Jesus, while he was here, he forgave people their sin. And the Jewish people, that all they could think about was, God does that. Who are you to do that? Only God can forgive sin. And Jesus was doing that. He was forgiving sin. And ultimately on the cross, he paid the price for sin so that we wouldn't have to. So Jesus has all authority. And God even tells it, in Scripture. He says, "This is my Son in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to him." And in other Scripture, it tells where he has all authority. All authority under heaven and on earth has been given to him. There is no other name which we can be saved. And that is Jesus. Because in that name represents who he is. And he has all authority, all power. So there is no greater force in this universe that man could ever think of or ever become that would ever rival or equal our God. He is all powerful. All power over death, all power over sin, all power over the grave. And one day, sin will be dealt with. We won't have to worry about it anymore. One day the enemy will be thrown into the lake of fire where he will spend eternity. And one day we will be with heaven, those who have trusted and accepted the free gift of Jesus Christ. And we will be with him in eternity in all his glory. And we'll get a glimpse of what it means to be around the Almighty, to be around the Omnipotent One, to be around the One who is all powerful. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts about dealing with and leading up to Holy Week, remembering hope. Because, the purpose of hope is to believe in something greater than ourselves, to put faith in something greater than ourselves. And how can I put faith in something that is equal to me, or barely just above me, or maybe even beneath me? There's no hope in that. But when I can put my hope in a holy God who has proven his authority over the enemy, over the grave, over death, over sin, that's someone, not just something, someone I can believe in and truly have hope in. So I hope you'll find encouragement with that. And a couple of songs that we'll use to remind us of that are Chris Tomlin's Our God. Man, a powerful song. Our God is greater. And then the other one is by Hillsong. And it simply says that God is stronger. So thanks again for watching. Have a great night. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.